Good morning, everyone. So today we are continuing our sixth session with the third class from Dr. Vidya CS, Professor, Department of Anatomy, JSS Medical College, Mysuru. Before starting, I'd like to call Ms. Ritika Kapoor to deliver the prayer.
नमामि धन्वन्त्रि आदिदेवं सुरासुरे वन्दितं पादपादनं लोके जरारुके भया मृत्युनाशं दधारिषं विभिद औषधीनां धन्वन्त्री प्रमानाथं सर्वरोगे निवारितम् आयुर्वेद प्रभक्तारं वन्दे पीयूषं धारकम् सर्वे जना सुखिनो भवन्तु सर्वे सन्तु निरामया ॐ शान्तिः 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 ॐ
Thank you, Ms. Ritika. Ma'am, you can continue.
Yeah, thank you. So today, the next topic, which is also important, that is the brain stem. So brain stem, as such, it is about three parts, what is called as midbrain, pons, and medulla oblongata. So as I told you yesterday, midbrain connects to the cerebellum through superior cerebellar peduncle. Pons connects to the cerebellum through middle cerebellar peduncle, and medulla connects to the inferior cerebellar peduncle. So this brainstem is like all the spinal cord, whatever the tracks for ascending or descending, it passes through all these parts of the brainstem. So coming to midbrain, so midbrain is formally divided into dorsal and ventral parts at the level of cerebral aqueduct. So the dorsal portion is also known as tectum, which largely consists of superior and inferior colliculi, and ventral portion is known as tegmentum. So this is the image showing the as such of brain stem. So this is the midbrain, and there are two colliculus. We call as superior colliculi and inferior colliculi. Then this is a pons, and here is a medulla oblongata. So again, the same image. So this is in the posterior view. So this is a midbrain. This is a pons and a medulla oblongata. You can see various cranial nerves emerging. So from the midbrain, there are two important cranial nerves emerging out. It's called as oculomotor nerve and cochlear nerve. There's a third and fourth cranial nerves. So divisions. Tegmentum is bounded ventrally by the massive fiber system of the crus cerebri. The term cerebral peduncle is sometimes used as a synonym of the crus cerebri. Mainly it connects the cerebellum. So this is a cross section of the midbrain. So one we take at the inferior colliculus, and another one section is taken at the superior colliculus. So this is at the level of inferior colliculus. At the level of inferior colliculus, is Girish Sharma raised this hand? Any problem?
No, ma'am, no.
Giriraj Sharma. Any problem?
No.
Ma'am, I think it was a mistake.
Okay, fine. So it's inferior colliculus, and this is the cerebral aqueduct. At the level of inferior colliculus, you find important nucleus, what plus trochlear nucleus or the fourth cranial nerve nucleus. This is the trochlear nucleus, and this is the colliculi or the crus cerebri here. This is the crus cerebri, and in this crus cerebri, in front of it, you have this substantia nigra. It's very important, substantia nigra, and you can make out this decussation of superior cerebellar peduncle. So in the caudal part of midbrain, the inferior colliculus constitutes part of ascending acoustic projection. That means for the hearing. So trochlear nucleus connected with the auditory fibers. Then from these fibers they terminate to medial genital body. Ultimately goes to the functional area of the cerebrum, that is the auditory cortex in the temporal lobe. So there is a schematic diagram of the level of inferior colliculus. So this is called as tegmentum part, and this is the tegmentum part, and the posterior part is a crus cerebri. And you can see this trochlear nerve nucleus crossing each other here, and this is the cerebral aqueduct. This is central gray matter with a mesencephalic nucleus. Then trigeminal nucleus is present. This trigeminal nucleus extends from the medulla till the midbrain. Then you have the substantia nigra, and this is the crus cerebri. You find the corticospinal, corticopontine fibers. This is in this white matter. Coming to the rostral part, the rostral part or the superior part is a superior with the level of superior colliculus. Mainly, at the level of superior colliculus, you find this important cranial nerve nucleus, that is the oculomotor nerve nucleus. Along with that, you find the mesencephalic nucleus in the central gray matter. Then you have the trigeminal hemispheres with the spinal and medial hemispheres in the white matter, and also one important nuclei in front of the crus cerebri, that is called as red nucleus. The red nucleus sends fibers, what we call as cerebrospinal tract, all these things. So these are the important nuclei at the level of superior colliculus. And again, you find a substantia nigra, and the crus cerebri you find the corticospinal, corticopontine, and temporopontine fibers. So these are the nuclei present at the superior colliculus. So you should remember that at the level of superior colliculus, you find oculomotor nerve nucleus along with the red nucleus, very important. And the level of inferior colliculus is a trochlear nerve nucleus, which is a fourth cranial nerve. Coming to the eye movements. So eye movements, these movements of eyes are those occurring when a moving object is followed. So these fibers, they are found in the midbrain. This pretectal nucleus helps in the number of visual fibers in the optic tract, and this nucleus has connection with the parasympathetic neurons controlling the smooth muscle of the eye, and is part of the circuit mediating the pupillary reflex. So pupillary reflex is involuntary, that is controlled by pretectal nucleus. So as I told you, cerebral aqueduct is nothing but connection between the third ventricle and the fourth ventricle. So this is cerebral aqueduct, a small canal like which connects the third ventricle and fourth ventricle. The superior cerebellar peduncle, so at the level of inferior colliculus, the central portion of the tegmentum is dominated by the superior cerebellar peduncles. So these fibers originate in the cerebellum, causing ventromedially as they run into the midbrain. So this, in this part, is for the superior cerebellar peduncle. So what is this red nucleus? Red nucleus is nothing but it is nuclei which gives important fibers, what we call as cerebrospinal fibers, to the superior cerebellar peduncle, and these fibers arise from the spinal cord and they raise the red nucleus, then ascend upwards to the cerebral cortex. So this is the red nucleus present in front of the crus cerebri. So what is the function of this red nucleus? Red nucleus involved in motor control, and the major source of afferent fibers is to the motor cortex of the frontal lobe. And the red nucleus also projects to the inferior alveolar nucleus of medulla via the central tegmental tract. Then is the substantia nigra. So substantia nigra is nothing but area which rich in dopamine, which is very dark bluish in color. So it consists pigmented melanin contains neurons that synthesize dopamine as a neurotransmitter. So this is the substantia nigra present in front of the crus cerebri. So what is the function of the substantia nigra? These neurons project to the caudate nucleus and putamen of basal ganglia, and region of this pars compact of substantia nigra is associated with the Parkinson's disease. So you heard of this Parkinson's disease. This is due to lack of or deficiency of dopamine receptors, dopamine neurotransmitters in the substantia nigra. So crus cerebri is nothing but consists of white fiber, white matter with the corticobulbar and corticospinal fibers. So this is the crus cerebri. Again, the section showing the different nuclei. So the superior colliculus, cerebral aqueduct, the red nucleus here, oculomotor nerve nucleus, then medial lemniscus, substantia nigra, crus cerebri. So you can see that oculomotor nerve emerging out third cranial nerve at the level of superior colliculus. This is about the midbrain. I'll stop here. So next is the pons. Before going to pons, any doubts in the midbrain?
If there are any doubts, you can kindly ask. I think, ma'am, we'll continue with the topic and last we'll keep the discussion session.
Okay. So as I told you, the brainstem consists of three parts: midbrain, pons, and medulla. So this is pons, the middle part. That's why it's like a bridge between the midbrain and the medulla oblongata. So in the Greek, it is the name itself indicates it's like a bridge. So this is a prosencephalon, mesencephalon, and dromencephalon here, and you can make out this. This is a pons. Below is the medulla, above is the midbrain. So location is situated between the midbrain and medulla in the posterior cranial fossa of the cranial cavity, and it is about 2.5 cm long, and it mainly forms the upper half of floor of fourth ventricle, and it continues with the or connects the cerebellum with through middle cerebellar peduncle. So what are the functions of the pons? Mainly, they help in the relay station of the corticoportine fibers and give origin to pontocerebellar fibers. The nuclei of 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th cranial nerves are present in the pons. So we studied the 3rd and 4th cranial nerves are present in the midbrain. So the continuation is 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th cranial nerves are present in the pons, and it also helps in the connects the medulla to some of the fibers inputs. What are the white matter? White matter mainly subserves the motor and sensory functions, and there is an important function or the important pathway, what is called corticopontine cerebellar pathway, where the pontine nuclei present in the pons, they cross each other and also relate to the cerebellum. So pons has got two surfaces, a ventral and dorsal surface, and two borders, a superior border and inferior border. So this is a pons. What you are seeing is a posterior surface. So it has got superior border here and inferior border. So in the superior border, you can make out this oculomotor nerve and this trochlear nerve. And from the pons, very important here now emerging out is the fifth cranial nerve. So that is also called as trigeminal nerve, which has got again three components: ophthalmic, maxillary, and mandibular components. And in the pontomedullary junction, you have seventh, eighth, and ninth cranial nerve. That is the abducent, facial, vestibulocochlear nerve. Then what is the blood supply? As I told you yesterday, mainly the basilar artery is formed by two vertebral arteries, and these supply the pons with the superior cerebellar artery and pontine branches, labyrinthine branches coming from the basilar artery and along with anterior inferior cerebellar artery. And this is a dorsal portion which forms the upper part of the fourth ventricle along with the medulla oblongata. So dorsal surface, you can see here the open part of fourth ventricle. It forms the upper rhomboid shape or triangular shape of the fourth ventricle. Again, you can see the nuclei emerging out, 9th, 10th, 11th cranials, and so trigeminal ganglion and trigeminal parts, ophthalmic, maxillary, and mandibular parts here. So the important cranial nucleus from in the brainstem we can make out, as I told you, third and fourth are present in the midbrain. The sorry, and in the pons we find the fifth cranial nerve, sixth cranial nerve, abducent, facial nerve, and inferior cerebellar nucleus. All these are present in the pons. And in the medulla you find the hypoglossal nucleus, vagus 10th cranial nerve, and the spinal axillary nerve. This is all present in the medulla. This is the upper of the fourth ventricle, where you can make out the facial colliculus. This is nothing but the winding node of facial nerve around the abducent nerve, and you can make out this vestibular area. And one grayish area or the bluish color area you can make out as a locus coeruleus. So locus coeruleus again is rich in the neurotransmitter, which helps in the connectivity. Now coming to the cross section of the pons. So in the cross section of the pons, we take it at the two levels. One is the basilar part, and another one is the tegmental part. So these are the sections of the pons. So the caudal part of the pons, the level of mesencephalon, and this is at the lower level. So you can see this many important nuclei are present in the pons, which helps in various sensation. It may be somatic sensation or special sensation like taste or parasympathetic and brachiomotor. So coming to the basilar and tegmental part. So what are the important nuclei is present is the abducent nucleus. So this abducent nucleus is present. We will find this facial nerve nucleus. So this facial nerve winds from the abducent nuclei that forms an elevation, and that is called as facial colliculus. And you can see this median part, all this spinal tract, tegmental part is present in the midline. This forms a gray matter, and these are the red color is the pontine nuclei. From the pontine nuclei, you find the pontocerebellar fibers coming out, which connects with the cerebellum. So what are the fibers? Mainly the corticospinal, corticobulbar, and corticopontine fibers, and transverse fibers are pontocerebellar fibers coming from the pontine nuclei. Now the transverse section to the lower part of the pons or the caudal part of the pons is is a medial outer bundle, then tectospinal tract, rubrospinal tract. As I told you, the rubrospinal tract is nothing but coming from the red nucleus to the spinal cord. Again, you find this facial folliculus and the abducens nerve nucleus. Along with that, important one is a trigeminal nerve nucleus you find here, and medial lemniscus, spinal nucleus of trigeminal nerve. Again, pontine nuclei, the crossover, and from the trapezial bone. So this is a transvection of most cranial part or the upper part of pons. Um, you see this fourth ventricle here, and tectospinal, rubrospinal is common for all the three sections. Along with that, we find a vestibular nucleus here, and this is a middle cerebellar peduncle connecting to the cerebellum, the pontine nuclei and pontocerebellar fibers. So main differences between the upper and lower part of pons. So in the grey matter and white matter, so in the lower part of pons, in the grey matter, you find nuclei of 6, 7, 8 cranial nerves and nucleus of spinal tract of trigeminal nerve. In the upper part of pons, mainly you find a motor and sensory nuclei of trigeminal nerve along with the nucleus cerebrus. Then the white matter, it consists of 2 lemnisci, medial and spinal trapezoid body and nuclei present. On the upper part of pons, 4 lemnisci are present. It's a medial, trigeminal, spinal, and lateral lemniscus. So lemnisci are nothing but white matter on the bundle of fibers. So it's a medial outer bundle. Trigeminal lemniscus is coming from the trigeminal nuclei. Spinal lemniscus from the spinal ganglion, and lateral lemniscus forming the auditory fibers. Coming to the blood supply. So this is the blood supply of the pons. As I told you, it is mainly for the basilar artery, which gives smaller branches, pontine arteries, and labyrinthine branches to the internal ear. So in detail about the blood supply, the single basilar artery, it supplies all the nuclei of the pons, the radicular and pararadicular paramedian branches. It supplies all the zones of the pons. What is the pontine syndrome? So like that, yesterday we had studied about cerebellar syndrome. So if any of this blood supply is hampered, ischemia or thrombosis, it causes pontine syndrome depending upon the site of the location of the nucleus. So you have various syndrome. It may be the upper part or lower part. It may be causing dysarthria, ataxia, hemiplegia. So because this is an important cranial nuclei, the facial nerve, if it is damaged, it causes Bell's palsy or facial nerve palsy. And because the motor fibers are present, it may cause hemiplegia, sparing the face due to pyramidal tract involvement. So this is the image showing the various nuclei. And there is a very important clinical correlation, what we call pontocerebellar angle syndrome between the pons and the cerebellum. If there is any tumor in this region, it causes, it presses the vestibular area and it causes acoustic neuroma. It's very dangerous, and it's a pontine hemorrhage CT scan. Some of the arteries may break out and leads to hemorrhage. So this is all about the pons. I'm not going in depth about the clinical correlation, which was important. I'm just briefing about. Next is very important part of brainstem is the medulla oblongata. Medulla means like a bulb. So it's like a bulb-like structure. So we call it as medulla oblongata. So it's a part of myelencephalon or lower part of the hindbrain, and it connected to the pons above, and it continues as spinal cord below. after it emerges out from the foramen magnum. So lower part of the medulla oblongata, it shows the features of the spinal cord. So medulla oblongata is continuous with the superior aspect of spinal cord and contains both portions of motor and sensory tracts. The hypoglossal nucleus, vagal nucleus, and in the in the medulla oblongata, you find rootlets of hypoglossal nerve emerging out, which is nothing but 11th, 12th cranial nerve. So what are the functions of medulla? So medulla connects higher level of brain to the spinal cord. It has got two vital centers, that is the cardiac and respiratory center, which is very important, and also vasomotor centers. Then we have the vomiting centers, and reflexes include pharyngeal reflex, swallowing reflex, and mesenteric reflex. So medulla provides attachment to more last four cranial nerves, that is the 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. There is a glossopharyngeal, vagus, the hypoglossal, and the spinal axillary nerve. So location and extent. Medulla oblongata mainly is lower part of the brainstem, is located in the posterior cranial fossa and related to the clivus anteriorly and cerebellum posteriorly. Separated from the cerebellum from the cavity of the fourth ventricle. So this is the image showing the location in the skull. So below the clivus, the medulla oblongata is present, and this is a sagittal view of the CT scan. Where you can make out all the parts of the brainstem. This is a midbrain, this is a pons and medulla. Below from here, it is a spinal cord. So this is the cut section of the skull. You can see the clivus. So here you find the medulla oblongata. So it's like a truncated cone, this like a bulb. That's why it's called as medulla. So what are the external features and in the medulla? So we have two parts, that is the dorsal and ventral part, and also we divided to upper part and lower part. So upper part and lower is one is a closed part, and we find important ventricle within the medulla and cerebellum, that is the fourth ventricle. So this is the midbrain here, pons and medulla. So you have this dorsal part here, where you can make out the median sulcus. Then you have important elevation called as pyramid. Then you find the olive. So pyramid elevation is formed mainly by the corticospinal tract, and this is the olive. Between the pyramid and olive, you find the rootlets of hypoglossal nerve emerging out. That is the 12th cranial nerve. So what are the connections with the cerebellum? Mainly to the inferior cerebellar peduncle. It connects to the cerebellum. Some of the proprioceptive fibers, they cross and relay into the cerebellum. So this is the ventral surface of the medulla oblongata. You can record this pons here, medulla oblongata. So as I told you, this is a pyramid here, and here elevation called as olive. Why it is called as olive? Because of presence of inferior olivary nucleus. So this is the pyramid decussation. You can make out this olive and rootlets of hypoglossal nerve. Then you have the glossopharyngeal nerve emerging out, then vagus nerve, and spiral root of axillary nerve. And this is dorsal surface of medulla oblongata. This is a closed part and open part. Open part, which forms the lower part of the fourth ventricle. So here you find the vagal nerve nucleus, hypoglossal nerve nucleus. This is very important, and also the tip of it is called as area postrema, which is vomiting center. So when I talk about ventricles tomorrow, you can make out the area postrema in detail about the fourth ventricle. And this is a closed part. Closed part is our lower part, which continues with the spinal cord. So this is a pons. So fourth ventricle mainly formed by two parts to it. It is from the pons and the medulla oblongata. The posterior surface of pons and medulla forms the fourth ventricle. Now coming to the internal features or the cross section of medulla oblongata. So we take it two levels. One is the pyramid level and one is the inferior or very nucleus level. So very important is at this level you any section if you take will have the gray matter and white matter. So gray matter mainly consists of this pyramidal nucleus, then red part of the robustmental tract, then you have the central gray matter present here, and this is what you see is the decussation of the pyramidal fibers or what you call as corticospinal fibers. These are the main motor descending tract coming from the area number 4 and 6 function area. So that's why I had covered the function areas in the first class itself. From these function areas, either the sensory will relate and motor fibers emerge out from there. Again, the same diagram, schematic diagram, you can make out this pyramidal, decussation of pyramidal tract, and this is rubrospinal tract, and vestibulospinal tract. Then two important sensory fibers are present. It's called as fasciculus gracilis and fasciculus cuneatus. They're nothing but spinothalamic fibers, sensory fibers ascending upwards coming from the spinal cord. So coming to the important motor fibers, it's called as corticospinal tract coming from the area number 4 and 6. Then they relate to the midbrain in the crus cerebri, then to go to the pons, then from the pons to the medulla oblongata at the level of pyramid, and at the level of pyramid it crosses each other called as pyramidal decussation, and it then relates to the spinal cord to the motor neurons. So this is a pathway for the corticospinal fibers. Most of the 80% fibers they cross each other, but only the 20% will not cross. That forms the anterior corticospinal tract, and the other fibers are called as lateral corticospinal tract. So this is the pyramidal tract or important motor pathway of the cerebral cortex in the spinal cord. So brain motor decussation, the pyramidal fibers, as I told you, 70 to 90% they cross each other to form the lateral corticospinal tract, and the gracile and crenate tubercles is nothing but continuation of the sensory fibers. So what is the spinal nucleus in tract of trigeminal nerve? It is nothing but the fibers coming, the sensory fibers coming and relating to the trigeminal nucleus, which is mainly sensory. These are a few other tracts, ventral and dorsal spinocerebellar tracts. Then spinal and you also find important other cranial nuclei, the spinal nucleus of axonal nerve. Now at the level of sensory decussation, in the level of sensory decussation, whatever nuclei present are mainly the gracile and cuneate nucleus, which is at the sensory level. So that is very important. And these from these fibers they cross each other when they relate to this nucleus. So that's why we call as at the level of sensory decussation. These fibers they are coming from the spinal cord. They relate to in the medulla. They cross each other. Then they ascend upwards to the pons, then to the midbrain, then to the area number 312 at the parietal lobe. This is about it. Then you find the nucleus ambiguous, the vagus nerve. Then you find the inferior olivary nucleus, very important, like a crumpled back shape, like that you found in the dentate nucleus of cerebellum. Then you have the arcuate nucleus. Part of pyramid also is seen in this level. So this is a brainstem tracts, so at the midbrain level. So this is a lateral trigeminal tract. Then this is a pons here, and this is a medulla oblongata. So you find important one are the medial lemniscus, present in both in the all midbrain as well as pons. So this is a posterior column pathway or what called the sensory pathway, and this is a anterior spinothalamic tract. So as I told you, it's coming from the gray matter of the white matter of the spinal cord, then to the from the spinothalamic tract, then it descends upwards, laying after into the pons, medulla oblongata pons, and then to the thalamus, then to the area number 312. So this is a sensory pathway. So cross section of the level of olive, mainly you find this olivary nucleus. This is at the olivary nucleus, and all of the nucleus are the same. That is, you find the hypoglossal nucleus, then vessel and cuneiform tubercle, then you find the rubrospinal tract, vestibulospinal tract, medial axillary olivary nucleus, and important one is a medial lemniscus. So medial lemniscus is present in the center. So this is the stained part of the medulla. So what are the connections for the inferior olivary nucleus? So inferior olivary nucleus mainly it transmits fibers to the cerebellum. From the inferior nucleus it goes to the cerebellum to the Purkinje cells. So this inferior cerebellar peduncle passing to the cerebellum, it connecting the afferent and efferent fibers to the cerebellum to the medulla oblongata. So what is this axillary nerve? So axillary nerve is the 11th cranial nerve. It has got two parts. It's got a spinal part of axillary nerve and the cranial part. So spinal part of axillary nerve comes from the spinal cord, and it goes to the carotid anterior posterior triangle of the neck, and supplies important muscle what is called as sternocleidomastoid and trapezius muscle. And this is the cranial part of axillary nerve, which mainly forms the part of ansa cervicalis and also supplies the muscles of pharynx and larynx. So this is the 11th cranial nerve called as axillary nerve. So what is the blood supply to the medulla oblongata? So blood supply to the medulla oblongata is mainly by the two vertebral arteries on either side. These vertebral arteries gives mainly posterior inferior cerebellar artery, and also it gives anterior spinal and posterior spinal arteries, which mainly supplies the two important centers. As I told you, it is cardiac and respiratory centers. And depending upon the zone it has been affected, we call as lateral medullary syndrome and medial medullary syndrome. So lateral medullary syndrome is due to thrombosis of posterior inferior cerebellar artery, and medial medullary syndrome is due to thrombosis of vertebral artery. So these are the features of medial medullary syndrome, where the pyramidal tract is affected. So you'll have the tongue deviation to the opposite side, and it's a medial medullary syndrome on the left side, and this is a lateral medullary syndrome. Why lateral medullary syndrome? Because important cranial nerve like vestibular nuclei, spinal trigeminal nucleus, all this will be affected. So what will happen? So there will be loss of pain and temperature sensation, ataxia, the vertigo, loss of gag reflex, vomiting, nausea. All these are features of lateral medullary syndrome, which is also called as Wallenberg syndrome. So vascular supply is by the posterior inferior cerebellar artery, and you can make out the And there's a deficient supply in the MRI, you can make out. Coming to median medullary syndrome, mainly the pyramidal tract will be affected. So there will be loss of motor activity, or we call as hemiplegia. So what is this bulbar palsy? So bulbar palsy mainly due to the impairment of function of 9th, 10th, 11th cranial nerves in the medulla. So these, whatever the functions done by these cranial nerves will be hampered. So bulbar palsy is a lower motor neuron lesion of the cranial nerve, 7th cranial nerve. It causes paralysis of the pharynx and laryngeal muscles. And there's a pseudobulbar palsy, there's nothing but that is the upper motor neuron lesion with a spastic paralysis of pharynx and larynx. It causes fetal death because of airway occlusion. Thank you. So this is about the brain stem, that is the midbrain, pons, and medulla oblongata. So the take-home message of this today's session is: you know the parts of the midbrain. So what are the parts like the tectum, tegmentum, and dorsal part, and ventral part. Then and the external features, then internal features. The two important things are the superior follicles and inferior follicles. There's the third and fourth cranial nerves are present. Then at the pons, the important cranial nerves, that is the fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth cranial nerves are present in the pons. And in the medulla, you should know what is present in the upper part of the medulla, that is the pyramidal acquisition and the sensory acquisition, along with the blood supply. And what happens if this blood supply is hampered? That causes the concerned syndromes. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, I got a question.
Yes.
Yeah, ma'am. When you told about the pons, the anterior aspect of pons were showing transverse fibers. So,
Yes.
yeah, can you explain
Transverse
that part
fibers coming from the
once more, ma'am?
pontine nuclei. Pontine nuclei present in the pons, they gives transverse fibers.
And where is the area of supply there?
This fibers, no, these transverse fibers, they cross each other as well as they go to the middle cerebellar peduncle to connect with the cerebellum to form pontocerebellar pathway.
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, one more question I got. Ma'am, can you explain the midbrain parts of midbrain once more about tectum, tegmentum, and other things?
See this image you can make out. This is the tectum, posterior part. This is the cerebral aqueduct, and around the aqueduct you find the central gray matter. Because this is at the level of inferior folliculus, you find this trochlear nerve nucleus. Then you find the part of decussation of superior cerebellar peduncle. Then you find the substantia nigra, and this is the crus cerebri. So these are the parts of the midbrain. Yes, Anup?
Hello, ma'am, 2-3 questions have come in the chat box also. Yeah, can you explain about a red nucleus?
Red nucleus is present in front of the crus cerebri. So this is a red nucleus. So whatever fibers comes out or gives out here is called as rubro. It may be the corticorubroscanal tract or rubroscanal tract. So from there you find the rubroscanal tract. So this is involved in motor activity. So that is motor activity means the pyramidal tract, they relate to the red nucleus, then to go to the lower part of the brainstem. This is a red nucleus.
Ma'am, next question. What is lobus cerebellum?
Pardon?
Lobus cerebellum.
It is not lobus cerebellum, it is locus cerebralis.
Yeah, I think they
Locus
got a
cerebralis, I
mistake.
will tell you tomorrow's class, that is a small bluish coloration in the fourth ventricle, which is rich in the neurotransmitter, present in the medulla oblongata.
And one more question, ma'am. How cerebral aqueduct is getting connected with the ventricles? Can you explain cerebral aqueduct once more?
See, this is the image showing the midbrain. So within the midbrain is a canal, that is the cerebral aqueduct. So this continues to the fourth ventricle. So this here is only the canal. This is called a cerebral aqueduct. Above you find the third ventricle. Below you find the fourth ventricle. This acts like just a canal to connect between the third and fourth ventricle. So again, when I teach about ventricles tomorrow, I'll show you the image.
Okay, ma'am. One more question. Blood supply of pons, if it is comfortable, can you repeat?
Pons is from the basilar artery, as I told you. The two vertebral arteries they join together in the basilar, form the basilar artery on the basilar part of the pons, and in turn, this pons is this gives what we call basilar artery gives pontine branches. You can see these minute branches, labyrinthine branches, and also from the basilar artery you find the anti-inferior cerebellar artery, which also gives branch to the pons as well as to the cerebellum. So this is the blood supply of the pons. So the corresponding veins will drain the blood from the pons.
Ma'am, next question. Can you please repeat the transverse section of pons once more?
So this is a transverse section of pons. So we take it in two parts, upper and lower part of pons. So mainly you find this important nucleus, that is the facial nerve nucleus and abducent nucleus, as well as this red color pontine nucleus that forms the mainly gray matter. And you find the bundles. There is a white matter that's called as medial longitudinal bundle, then tetraspinal tract and rotorospinal tract in the center, as well as you find this inferior cerebellar peduncle, spinal nucleus, and tract of trigeminal nerve on the lateral side. This is the caudal level of pons. You can make out again the facial colliculus, abducent nerve nucleus, and the pontine fibers. They cross each other as well as go to the middle cerebellar peduncle to lay into the cerebellum. So this is the difference between the lower and upper part of pons. So in the lower part you find this 6, 7, 8 cranial nerves. The upper part mainly see the principal sensory nucleus of trigeminal nerve. And white matter mainly two lemnisci, medial and spinal lemniscus. And but in the upper part, if four lemnisci, this is the premedial, trigeminal, spinal, and lateral lemniscus. So this is about the cross section of pons.
Ma'am, one more question. Yesterday, you told about the connection of brainstem with cerebellum through cerebellar peduncles. So, to be more specific, is it right that midbrain is through superior, pons is middle, and medulla through inferior?
The superior, pons to the middle, and to medulla to the inferior cerebellar peduncle connecting to the cerebellum.
Okay, ma'am. And one more question. Just like the cerebral cortex, cerebellar peduncles are also having decussated fibers. Is it right?
Yes, they
Okay.
have, yes, some of the fibers that cross.
Ma'am, when you told about corticospinal tract, you told about lateral corticospinal tract being decussated and some fibers are not getting decussated. Can you explain that once more?
Yes. What is the question? I couldn't understand the question.
No, when you told about the corticospinal tracts,
So you can
you
see this
told,
image now. Can you see the image?
yeah,
Slide.
yeah, yeah.
So this is coming from the primary motor cortex, as I told you, for area number 4 and 6. From the area of 4 and 6, it relates to the internal capsule. Then it comes to the midbrain, to the crus cerebri, then to the pons, and then to the medulla oblongata. When it comes to medulla oblongata at the level of pyramid, some of the fibers, 80 to 90%, they cross, they form the lateral corticospinal tract, which does not cross, they form the anterocorticospinal tract and forms the and goes to the spinal cord.
Are there any other doubts? You may kindly put that in the chat box. I got a message. You told about the olivary tracts connecting the cerebellum. Can you explain that once more?
Inferior olivary nucleus,
Yes.
they give called as olivary tract that go to the cerebellum, as well as they go to the spinal cord is called olivospinal tract.
Any other questions? Ma'am, one more question came.
Yeah.
Are there any possibilities of cranial nerves regeneration after after damage?
No. Regeneration is very difficult. In the facial nerve, that is extracranial part, if it that's why we tell that nerve is does not regenerate. It's very difficult because absence of mitochondria over there. So regeneration is quite slow and it is quite impossible. That's why the lesions are like in the Parkinson's disease. If it's a deficiency of dopamine stimulating receptors are enhanced by giving drugs, but complete cure is not possible for this neurological because of lack of regeneration.
Okay, ma'am. Are there any other doubts? Ma'am, in the initial class, you told about diencephalon. So when it is coming to the corticospinal tracts, ascending tracts or descending tract, what is the role of diencephalon in
The
central nervous?
encephalon has got thalamus, hypothalamus. So all the fibers they relay in the thalamus, which is called as relay station. Then only it is integrated there, and then only it ascends upwards or descends downwards.
Ma'am, the picture which you showed right now on the screen, so it is showing primary motor cortex area.
Yeah, here you
Then,
find the diencephalon. Actually, you find the diencephalon here,
hmm,
but it's not showing the. Actually, it goes to internal capsule, then diencephalon, then to the midbrain.
okay, ma'am. One
We
more
will take
question came.
thalamus tomorrow. I will tell you the important all the nuclei and what are the fibers relay in the thalamus.
Okay, ma'am. One more question came. The current picture is showing primary motor cortex. Then what kind of reflexes are actually controlled by brainstem?
I told you, mainly medulla it controls the pharyngeal reflex, respiratory reflex. All these are controlled in the medulla oblongata. We call as gag reflex. And you do the important nerve reflexes for the oculomotor and cochlear nerve, that is the midbrain, isn't it?
Yeah. One more question came. I think this question was explained yesterday also. How cerebellum helps in maintaining static and dynamic body balance?
Equilibrium is maintained by neocerebellum as well as in the important one is the flocculonodular lobe, which is mainly developed well developed in case of fishes to maintain the equilibrium in case of fishes for swimming. Mainly to the tracks, but the main center is that. Mainly to the tracks, the function will be maintained.
One more question came up. If cerebellum helps in maintaining the body balance, how it is connected with vestibulocochlear apparatus?
Cerebellum through the peduncle, as I told you, middle cerebellum peduncle is there, no? Through that, the fibers inputs goes to the cerebellum. It's a vestibular fibers. They relay there and then ascend upwards. So, through the peduncles, there is a connection to the vestibular area to the cerebellum.
One more question came, ma'am, more of physiological type. If you're comfortable, I'll ask.
Yeah, it may be last question.
Yeah. Can you explain the function of superior and inferior colliculus in midbrain?
Function of superior inferior colliculus in the midbrain is at the level of colliculus, you find the oculomotor nucleus at the superior colliculus, and at the level of inferior colliculus, you find the trochlear nucleus. So these are the nucleus which helps in the mainly I told the third book, oculomotor neuron. It mainly connects to the eyeball. It gives mainly all the supplies of extraocular muscles of eyeball. So that is at the superior colliculus, and at the inferior colliculus, the colliculus is nothing but the fibers coming from these two nuclei. So at the level of inferior colliculus, the trochlear nerve nucleus um, goes to this inferior colliculus, as well as the auditory fibers are laid in the inferior colliculus. So they help in vision and auditory areas, and they relay into the concerned visual and auditory function areas in the cerebral cortex. So
One more doubt. One
as
more
I'm
doubt.
taking only the morphology part, so you should correlate the same thing with the physiology so that the function is understood in much clearly.
Yeah, ma'am. Ma'am, one more doubt came. When read about cerebellum, the student had gone through two words, crista and macula. So, can you explain what crista and macula in cerebellum is?
No, I didn't find any crystal macula. I have not come across a crystal macula in cerebellum.
I hope that doubt is not correct.
There's nothing terminology in crystal macula. We always refer standard neuroanatomy books like Gray's Anatomy and Datta. But I have
Yeah,
not
yeah.
come across crystal macula.
Okay.
Once again, if I check and if I can find out, I'll tell you tomorrow. I don't think there's any term like that.
Yeah, sure, ma'am. Ma'am, when yesterday you explained about neocerebellum, paleocerebellum, and all, is the name given according to their embryological development, or are there any other?
Yeah, evolutionary, yes. Evolutionary development, how it has been evolved, it has been named.
Okay, ma'am. And is there any importance with them in their functioning or something?
Yeah, depending upon the function also, they were very much classified. Now, I told no neocerebellum helpful in the skillful movements, prehensile movements, that is very well developed in human beings, but not seen in the lower vertebrates. Only the motor activity is seen in the vertebrates, and in the fishes, mainly it is for the equilibrium, posture.
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, corpora quadrigemina in
Corporal
midbrain.
quadrigemina is nothing but the colliculi. Two superior colliculi and two inferior colliculi, they form the corpora quadrigemina in the
Yeah.
midbrain.
Because from the word itself, it is understood quadri is nothing but it is four.
Four, yeah.
Two superior and two inferior colliculus. I hope the doubt is cleared. Are there any further doubts?
Can I leave the meeting?
Yeah, ma'am. So I hope there are no further doubts. If I'm getting any further doubts, tomorrow I'll be conveying that.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, ma'am. So thank you so much for your time today, ma'am.
Yeah.
See you tomorrow. Be safe, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you so much.